This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I am Shekhar Gupta, and this episode marks a first for me as well. It's the first time that I have as my guest a namesake, albeit a much more famous one, Shekhar. Shekhar Kapur, welcome to Walk the Talk.
Thank you very much.
Tell me one thing, one can be confused figuring you out. I try to hit your website, CA turned management consultant, come model, come director, actor, producer, scuba diving instructor, all kinds of things rolled into one.
And that website is a year old.
That's a year old.
Since the year I've been in about 5 other professions.
So what kind of things?
Impresario, producer of musicals.
I think that's more than anything else impresario. But tell me, this is Bombay. Bombay knows its stars.
Yeah.
You bring a actor or actress here, there'll be crowds. But which other producer director will get crowds like this? We never had this problem with. We never thought we'll have a problem like this with a director or a producer. So is this the era of the star producer, the star director?
Well, partly I used to be an actor, don't forget that, long time ago.
Most of these guys don't remember
too young,
as
you
an
mean?
actor.
I'm not that old, but I guess I'm a little controversial, and then I get interviewed by people like you, famous people like you, and therefore they get to know me, they watch me on television. But the one thing I've always done is stirred up. No, I don't attempt to do it.
Right.
But always had the ability to stir up controversy.
Right.
And therefore people get to know me.
Tell me about some of the controversies you enjoyed the most.
I enjoy a good fight. Actually, I have to say this, I have to confess that I enjoy fighting, because when I have to fight, then I'm stirred to take action. And when everybody says, oh, he's very successful, you become complacent. It's when people say he's made a bad film or we won't let this film release, then you're challenged.
So which is your favorite big fight?
Well, the two fights. I mean, Bandit Queen was a huge fight.
Shekhar
Huge.
Kapur versus Arundhati Roy.
Arundhati Roy, Poolan Devi.
People, two hugely creative people.
Yeah. And against the state of India, Actually, it was against the government also. It was against the censor board. I've had many fights. But there's another fight that you have to... Every time I make a film, I find that I'm compelled to fail. Because when I fail, then everybody starts saying, it's just a flash in the pan, he's lost it, he's never going to make another film, he's announced too many more films, Shekhar Kapur's had it, he's just he's a con man. Then I get angry.
When was the last time that was said about you?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah, people still say that about me.
You do sound quite cheerful.
Yeah.
But
no, I enjoy it because I get angry and then I make a film.
Let's go back to that fight with Arundhati Roy.
Yeah.
What exactly happened? How do you look back on it?
Arundhati and I were friends.
I know that.
I guess we're still friends.
Yeah.
I have to assume, because I cannot find any other reason.
She's as delightful a writer as you are a filmmaker.
Absolutely. So I must assume, that everything that she fought for, she believed in.
Right.
And then I have to make my mind. So I think that her beliefs were wrong.
Right.
I do not believe, as people keep telling me all the time, that...
She thought, obviously, that you were exploiting Poolan Devi as a woman.
Yeah.
And you were over-sexualizing her life to sell your movie.
Yeah. I think she didn't get one point. There's a difference between nudity and nakedness. Nudity is a cinematic form that can be very exploitative. Nakedness is a state of being. So for example, in that scene where Poolan Devi, or the person who played Poolan Devi, walked out totally naked. If I had treated it cinematically, it would have been nudity and therefore cinematic and therefore possibly exploitative.
It wasn't titillating.
It wasn't titillating. And then the other things that she talked about were like, if you look at the rape scene.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, the rape scenes that we see in Indian films and nobody objects to are cinematic, titillating action scenes. In my rape scene, you barely saw anything except her close-ups, a door opening, men coming in, men going out, and people would get sick. I kind of realized that rape, in fact...
But she said those were hugely voyeuristic.
No, they were not voyeuristic at all. They were my attempt to understand what goes on in the mind of a person that gets raped, and to try and portray the act as an ultimate act of humiliation and an ultimate act of degradation, and not at all an act of sexuality. So I actually challenge anybody to take a look at that and say, hey, We felt very sexy during that act. Not possible. In fact, people were vomiting during that scene. People were screaming and walking out of the theater.
Well, if anybody can do anything to put people off rape, because if you see the usual Hindi movie, rape is actually romanticized so much.
Yeah, of course, it is cinematicized.
And individuals, the stars have made a living by being called rape specialists.
Yeah, but it's not only in India.
Right.
You look at the way rape is treated in Hollywood.
Right.
Look at Accused, remember that famous rape
the
scene
famous
in
one,
Accused?
Yes, absolutely.
It was very cinematic and
completely unnecessary.
Yeah. So it's not only here, all over the world, that the explosive mixture of sexuality and violence has been exploited by filmmakers constantly.
In fact, that's one thing that's changed lately in Indian cinema. We talk about crossover cinema and Indian cinema going overseas, but in one way, Indian cinema has come closer to foreign films. That is, in just its treatment of sexuality, nudity, and violence. Tough language. Now you have all these gangster films where four-letter words are used.
Yeah.
They look realistic, but these would have shocked my parents.
Yeah. It's the beginnings of freedom. Suddenly when I came out of school and I realized for a while I had no bounds, then I explored the act of freedom.
You mean Malika Sherawat and the rest? Is that the beginning of freedom?
It's the beginnings of freedom.
And gangster movies?
Yeah, it's the beginning of when the censor board has kept people tied up so long, and you suddenly open the gates, there will be floodgates that open. Then the raging waters will calm down. And as they calm down, even for the audience, they'll become more selective. Filmmakers will become more selective because now it'll be passé to use that kind of language. It'll be passé to use that kind of shots. So then we'll come back to it. So initially, give them their due, given that suddenly you open the floodgates and everybody's exploring something they could never explore before.
So right now we are too self-conscious about it.
We are too self-conscious about it, right.
You remind me of something that Leon Wieseltier, a former leader of the New Republic, once said, and he said this in the context of the Salman Rushdie controversy. He said, thank God for blasphemy, because blasphemy made us free.
Yeah.
So I think you seem to be saying that this new sort of rush of what we see as vulgarity, tough language, is a step in that direction.
Yeah, people will get bored of it after a while, because you'll look at, and it's better because then instead of voyeuristically looking for things, you see it, it's plain in front of you, and say, I'm bored, now give me something different. And then you'll explore more subtext, you'll explore more emotion.